How do I consistently create separation and cut with violence even at the age of 38? Let's break it down and show you what to focus on for Ultimate Frisbee. So let's look a little bit closer at some of these cuts. This is me in black. We're going to go through full speed. Nice. And then let's look at it a little bit slower. So I want you to watch my legs. Don't worry so much about the setup for the cut as you do about the actual just change of direction itself. So I'm leaning, I'm going right, and then boom, look at that plant. So this is a big focus. We want to be able to step out far away from our center of mass. The further we are away, assuming we have strength and power there, the more effectively we can push ourselves in the other direction. If that foot is really close to me, I'm not going to be able to propel myself as effectively. Now, this brings up our biggest first point that most players have a lot of room to grow, which is mobility. So we're going to go over this, but look at this, boom, and then look at the left leg, rotate underneath, and then look at that left ankle. Really quickly snaps under and pivots to propel me upfield. Okay, that is a lot of dorsiflexion right there. If you look at that left ankle, and that knee is low. That angle of the ankle and knee puts an enormous amount of stress there. So if we are not comfortable moving in these ranges without a lot of force, then it's going to be really hard to get the practice in we need to be effective at this. And this is not something I'm consciously thinking about it. This is the result of a lot of training and practice. So let's look at that in slow motion again. Check it out. Boom, boom. Okay, very effective, very efficient. I'm not taking a ton of different steps, but I'm creating a lot of power and force. So push, push, push. 3 steps, including the one that's changing my direction. 1, 2, 3, and I've already created a couple yards of separation, and that continues. Okay, so mobility is number 1 here. If you are not mobile, you cannot reach the positions you need to get into to effectively create force where you need to, then all the strength and all the practice in the world is not going to cut it. Now, let's look at another one here. So this was at PEC. This is our first game of the season, actually, against Space Force. And notice we have a stop disc, and I'm really close to that front cone, which is not ideal because that's where I want to get to. Okay, that's the easiest score. So what do? Let's check it out. Boom, 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 back. Okay, throw wasn't there. That's okay. That's not what I'm focused on here. Let's look at it in slow motion. Notice some similarities to the other cut. There's more stopping and starting, but those steps are very similar. So let's break it down. Okay, I'm taking the first step. Now I'll get into a little bit of what's on my mind here. So I want to get that defender away from that front cone. Okay, so I take a big step. I step out. That looks very familiar to the first cut, right? Big step out away from my center of mass to propel me back. And see, just like the other cut, that left leg is kind of pivoting underneath me. That ankle's getting ready to propel me to the left. However, as I'm doing this, I'm noticing that the defender is not really moving, not biting at all, which makes total sense. So I kind of give a little stutter and then big step way out away from me to propel me back the other direction. Now this is very convincing. I'm leaning, I'm pushing, a couple powerful steps, and then suddenly boom, boom, boom. Okay? So I'm creating all of that separation. Look, a couple steps, there's nothing here. A couple steps, and suddenly look how much space we have. Look how wide open this is. Okay? So that's what we want. We want to be able to do this. And if I'm chopping my feet, if I'm taking little tiny, very fast steps, that's not going to be effective. I want to be able to step aggressively and violently, really far away from my center of mass, and then be able to be powerful there. And again, that's not going to happen if I'm not really comfortable in these positions. So I need specific mobility training. Lifting alone is not going to cut it. And let me show you what I mean by that. So I am working on hip rotation. So hip internal rotation and abduction are really important. And that's exactly what I'm working on here. Okay, so I'm working on improving this. All of these training clips are from this year. And now I'm working on getting comfortable, this is sped up, in a wide position, rotating my hips. But notice how my center of mass, my torso, my hips are staying in between my knees, right? I'm not letting it get too far away. I'm getting used to being in this position without shifting into a non-ideal position. Now I'm working on pushing off, and see how you can see the hips. The hip kind of internally rotates there to push me, internally rotates to push me. Now, here's another session. I'm working on wide stance, actively rotating internally and externally. This was from this spring. Okay, so we're working on getting really wide, really aggressive, just getting comfortable in these positions, which doesn't happen without the mobility training. Okay, now I'm working on that ankle dorsiflexion. If I want to be able to propel myself with force, I need to be healthy, I need to be strong and comfortable in these deep positions. So I'm working on isometrics in this position. I'm working on peeling off to create some strength and control, and doing it again. So this is consistently happening for months and even years leading up to this season. Okay, and then we look at that deep knee and ankle flexion with a big lean from that first cut. Okay, let's go back to that. Let's go back here. Boom. If I want to be powerful and confident here, I don't want to take a chance. I'm not just hoping like, oh, I'm going to get in position. I hope my body can handle it, both from an injury prevention perspective and from a power perspective. No, I'm not taking that chance. I am spending time here. I'm doing isometrics, both long duration and short duration ballistic stuff. So all of this goes into it. This is just the tip of the iceberg, but I wanted to make this clear that yes, strength training and specific power training is very important and practice is very important. But if we're not doing the mobility work to allow us to get to the positions we need to get into, if you can't get here and you can't get here and you don't have the ability to not just get there, but be able to get there quickly without fighting your body's own resistance, without worrying or thinking about it, if you can't do that, then often the lowest hanging fruit is to work on that mobility, work on that joint and tendon health first. On top of that, you can then layer the strength and the power. And then when you go out to practice, you'll be that much more effective. So mobility first, then make sure you're practicing and you're layering on the strength and power so that we can have really effective, efficient, violent cutting. I'm 38 years old. My cutting is probably better this year than it's been in a long time, and it's not an accident. Let's get it.